Hi there. Good day to everyone. Today we have a special topic with our special guest, Juanita Gonzalez. We're going to cover the CalHFA Dream for All Shared Appreciation Program. Why is this essential? Because those that are prepared will benefit and be able to have a home of choice. Juanita is an extremely experienced real estate professional in the lending business. And when it comes down to customer service, client relationships, she is second to none. I've worked with Juanita for an extensive amount of time, and during our time, there's nothing but praise and high admiration from the mutual clients that we've had to work with. Juanita, thank you for joining us today.
Absolutely. No, thank you for having me. I mean, it's a pleasure working with you as well. I think that's the reason why we work so well together. It's because customer service always falls at the top for us with our clients.
100%. It's always the first of many and more to come. And one thing we like to emphasize too is se habla español. So sin pena, we're both Spanish speakers.
Sí, los dos.
So today we're going to go down the content of our agenda, a bit about us, what it means to be prepared and why you should be prepared, the market, factors that affect the market, Dream for All, what the requirements are, an example, and Juanita will highlight on some of the questions that we have for her today. Bit about us. Juanita, tell us about yourself.
Yes, so I have been in the mortgage industry for a little over 10 years. Happily helping clients, across the states. We're able to do and originate, in all 50 states. So I've been excited to be able to do that as well. Helping somebody get into a home has became a passion of mine. So I truly enjoy it. And that's the reason why, we become so passionate about, making sure that the clients are getting the service that they deserve. Because in all reality, there's so much information out there for clients when they're buying a house that it's easily to get sidetracked and confused. So we love to, stay available, set a timeline, like Worked always said, preparation, so that we can go ahead and help them, along the way, and they understand exactly what's next. So yeah, I've like I said, 10 years going strong and, just helping more and more families.
Absolutely. And it doesn't stop here. While we've had the opportunity to work together. I've been licensed since 2017, and I began my career in California to extend out to Florida and soon to be in Nevada. And when it comes down to it, we can service all 50 states for the real estate side. If Since I'm not licensed in all 50 states, I have a great network of agents that can help just as well as we can. So proud homeowner, also alumni to Cal State Northridge, UC San Diego, and Georgia Tech. So go Matadors, go Tritons, and go Yellow Jackets. Um, End of the day, we're here for a common mission where it's about being able to fulfill the dream that for a lot of first-time buyers and first-generation individuals, where we dream about, and sometimes we fail to act on the side of home ownership. Why? Because we are often overwhelmed with the questions or the concerns and the anxiety. And that's why being prepared is essential because the biggest who says this? Wayne Gretzky, Michael Scott from The Office. You miss out on 100% of the opportunities you do not take. So, what better way than to miss out than to just not try at all? That is where preparation makes the biggest difference. When you're taking those opportunities, it also means that you're moving with purpose, where you have a larger dream and vision. If you're thinking about building a family or you're thinking about building an investment portfolio, you're thinking about expanding on your real estate, the first purchase is defining. It can change your life, your trajectory. And for the next time around, it means that you already have the experience from today to carry on to the next time. And it just becomes that much easier each and every time. Time in the market instead of timing the market, because we think about when is the best time to buy. And oftentimes that comes down to a very simple thing where if you're prepared, it's probably time. And as long as you're talking to the right professionals, you have the team, that's really when you should be moving forward. And for the sake of long-term growth, it makes an enormous amount of interest. Um, this goes back to the point, time in the market, not timing the market, because those that acted upon, when you look historically, the value of homes over time, the value of interest rates, and what that means whenever you decided to purchase, whether your home's paid off or you're thinking about when that day will come, it will come. But that first moment in time made a big difference. Juanita, do you have any comments on being prepared?
Yes, absolutely. Which is, one of the main reasons why we're here today. Preparation is key, as Bartholomew just mentioned. And the reason why, it's because it allows us to be able to figure out your purchase power. A lot of times, we like to go shopping without knowing exactly what our budget is, what we can afford. And that is exactly what preparation does. It gives us that budget so that you're not out there just wondering or falling in love with something that might be out of your price range. So preparation is key because it is definitely important to identify your budget, your mortgage budget. Just because you can afford $1 million house doesn't necessarily mean you want to pay $1 million house mortgage payment. There's a lot of people that don't want to be mortgage broke. And that's the reason why preparation is absolutely key. And like Bartholomew said, sometimes people get, afraid. But I think it's more scarier to not know exactly where you are. Because at least if you know, we can always create a game plan and we can always create goals and we can help you. That's the key, is you're not in this alone. We're here to help you every step of the way. And that's the reason why preparation is key, because programs in the lending world, they come and go. They're constantly changing. Guidelines are constantly changing. So what I want to share really quick is this specific program that Bartholomew is going to touch on really quick for a minute. The incentive. This program came around for the first time in history last year. I've never seen anything or heard of anything like that before. And that's the reason why it was gone so quick. It was super quick. But there was some funds left over, and that's the reason why now preparation is key, is because we want to be ready for that when that program does become available and it launches in early spring. So I cannot stress the importance of preparing. And really, it's just trusting your group, your team that you plan to help you buy your house, because you have to feel that they really do have the vested interest in you, because that's the only way you're going to feel comfortable in moving forward with a purchase. I know there's a lot of scary, stories out there, but, talk to the people that, you're talking to, get familiar with them so that you can feel comfortable, because this is the biggest financial decision that you will ever make in your life. So it's a huge decision. It's very important, that you feel comfortable with the person that you're working with. And, Bartholomew and I, we're here, we're very transparent. We love to be, very honest with our clients and directing them, in the direction that we feel is the best. Because again, I always treat people the way that I would want to be treated. And I always treat people the way that I'd love for them to treat my family. It's really, the motto of how I run, my business. And I believe Bartholomew, aligns with that as well. So if anything, absolutely, preparation is key. Don't be afraid, we'll help guide you every step of the way.
Yeah, every time, and we experienced this last year where those that were prepared saw that they were submitting offers and remaining competitive. Those that were thinking about it missed out because the expectation for the particular program last year was that it would last for a while, but no, it did not go for very long. Funds were depleted really quickly, and I think that exceeded everybody's expectations. So it goes without saying that because of that, these new guidelines this time around are much more strict for that very same reason, because really it's meant for that first generation buyer. And when it comes down to it, again, being prepared. So we are here as your advisors. We are here as your guides and as our clients. We want what's best for you. And if it's difficult to hear it sometimes, it's the truth, and we will be completely transparent because you should know your options. You should know what it costs when you have those options presented to you. There, we don't work where we're gonna fail to disclose certain things because you should be aware. And that's what it means to have great client intimacy, to be honest with what the situation looks like.
Absolutely.
And the market in California, it continues to be very interesting. People still want to be in California. Inventory remaining low. And although we had left the holiday season coming into the new year, when we compare to historical amounts of inventory, it's not the same. And competition, interest rates changed, so that's gonna do all sorts of things. And now that we're adding this incentive as part of the market, I don't see prices going down. I don't foresee inventory getting better. If anything, competition through the roof. And
Yep.
again, those that are prepared, Juanita's going to walk us through what that looks like from the requirement side with an example and overall having your best interest in mind.
Absolutely. And just really quick, I'm just going to touch a little bit on the market because I was on a very interesting webinar this last week. And Bartholomew mentioned something very important, which is obviously inventory and where we are with the market. It is very important to understand that the forecast for 2024, 25, and 26, economists are forecasting that we are going to continue to experience that shortage of inventory, folks. So for individuals that, want to wait for whatever the reason is, understand that that is only going to cost, excuse me, a little bit more in the long run. And if that's the plan, that's fine. But just understand that because inventory is short, and this is all over the world, okay, nationwide. The pandemic changed everything. Nationwide, there's a shortage of homes. And because there are more buyers than homes, that competition is going to remain because it's supply and demand. I mean, that's the best way that I can explain it, supply and demand. The last I checked, housing is never going to go out of style because we all need somewhere to rest our heads, right? And what I just want to leave you guys with when it comes to that is try not to take that lightly because I have clients that, I mean, because again, we're here for them whenever they're ready. Whenever they're ready, we're here this year, next year, 2 years from now. I have clients that we've closed on that have been in the market for waiting for 3 years because they had all this advice from family that the market was going to crash, do this, do that, and they ended up buying 200,000, almost 300,000 more in price just because they waited the 2-3 year mark, folks. And the reason why I say this is because it is important to understand that if you want to become a homeowner, if you really want to create wealth, through real estate, through home ownership, then just really, really dive into that because the inventory issue, that's big. That is exactly what is causing the appreciation to go up. Okay. So as people think that, that homes are going to just start dropping, I wouldn't say that because if anything, they are forecasted to continue to increase over the next 2 to 4 years. Okay, so just think about that. And rates are going to do whatever they do along the way. But if you buy now, you can always refinance later. Remember that. You can never buy a house lower later than you can right now. What does this mean? So we all pay taxes. When you buy a house, you pay taxes on the price. So you can either pay taxes on today's price or taxes on the future price. Okay, where it can be, who knows, but just so you can have an idea. So when we're talking about savings all across the board, that's the reason why, we really focus on folks understanding exactly where the market is, where it's headed, where it's going, all based on economics, folks.
Back to the basics where supply and demand, the points that you're driving at. It blows my mind that yes, although we understand why people have to wait, having having the time, having the resources now it really makes a difference. So I really look forward to you telling us more about the program because as we approach the spring and the release, that's really where it comes down to being prepared.
Yes, absolutely. So this program, folks, it's going to launch in the busiest time of the year. Now, what a coincidence, right? I mean, is it really a coincidence? I don't
Seriously.
know. But why? Why couldn't it launch in like during Christmas or Thanksgiving, while everybody's like on holiday mode? No, they chose the busiest time of real estate. But hey, you know what? It is what it is. When there's an opportunity, I mean, some will take it, some won't. It is what it is. So, the California Dreams for All Shared Appreciation Program is a down payment assistance program, folks, that assist first-time home buyers with up to 20% down. Okay, and that 20% can be used all for down payment or a mixture of down payment and closing costs. Okay, think about what that can do for a mortgage payment. I mean, we're talking about not financing, maybe 100,000, 80,000, whatever the case may be. Okay, so that can definitely help improve a mortgage payment. And not just that, though, it can allow you to get into a house with zero money out of pocket. Okay, to me, that is insane. That is incredible. That's why I say, we've never seen a program like this. Now, here are some of the more important guidelines that I want to share with you guys. Like Bartholomew mentioned, this is the second time this program is launching, but it's a little bit different this time. The first time, it was just, if you're a first-time home buyer, basically means if you haven't owned a home in the last 3 years, you can qualify for the house. If you're a, U.S. citizen, legal resident, you could be good to go. Meet the income limits. Well, this time around, they changed a lot of that. And the reason why is because in their findings, after everything was said and done with the program, they found a group, there's always a group, right, of people that could have purchased a home without the actual program. So really, the program is geared towards low to moderate income families, folks, people that really, really, truly do need the help to be able to help them get into a home. Okay. Now, the main caveat to the guideline change here with this new, second phase going around is that first generation home buyer requirement that Bartholomew was mentioning. What exactly does this mean? It means that neither you nor your parents could have owned a home in the last 7 years. Okay, it means you can't be on a loan, you can't co-sign for somebody, you can't be inheriting a property, you cannot have no ownership interest in a home in the last 7 years. Okay, not even if you are your legal guardianship, okay, owns a home, that automatically, disqualifies you. Adopted and they own a home, that also automatically disqualifies you. Okay, that's a true definition of, the first generation home buyer requirement. Now, it is also for U.S. citizens, like I said, and legal residents. Okay, that's another requirement. Now, the income limits that CalHFA sets out for this specific program, they were reduced. Okay, they were reduced because, again, same reason. They want to make sure that the money goes to the appropriate parties. Okay, but what I love that they've done this time around, folks, is that they've actually taken the funds. So 220 million, I believe, is what's set out for the program. Okay, they've taken the funds and they are distributing it amongst different counties in the state of California. So if you live in California, we know what it's, I mean, I'm sorry, not California, in LA County, San Diego, the Bay Area, we know those are very expensive places to live. So of course, a lot of money is going to get eaten up. Well, guess what? CalHFA noticed that the last go around. So what they did was they set a certain amount of funds for each county so that we are all taking advantage of the program across the board. Isn't that exciting? I mean, I love that because it's kind of like it's an even playing field for everybody all across the board. I mean, what city, where you're in the desert, wherever you're at. I mean, if you're in the desert, you might have a better opportunity because there's less people. Maybe, I guess, if you think about it that way, right? But yes, so this is the reason why preparation is so key, and I'll go into that a little bit more. Now, the income limits are all different based on county, folks, okay? So we're going to share our contact information afterwards. So feel free to reach out to us, for more specifics, set appointments to go over, your exact scenario on the purchase. Because again, income limits are different for each county. Credit scores, okay, minimum is 660 and 660 and above. Okay, so depending on the loan parameters of where you fall, I'm not going to go into detail because again, that's the nerd in lending side of me that we have to kind of go into more detail. I don't want to bore you with all of that, but just understand those are the FICO scores that are required for the program. Okay, because again, it's a conventional loan. Home buyer education is also a requirement, and there's actually 2 steps, okay, for this specific program, because they want to make sure that you are very well aware of how this program is going to, help you along the way. Okay, want to make sure that you know exactly what you're signing up for. So there's 2 sets of home buyer education requirements, and they can either be online, they can be virtual, or they can be in person, whichever you choose. And only one borrower, folks, has to, basically take the education. So if there's 2 borrowers going on a loan, spouse or fiance, only one of them has to do it because it'll count for both. Okay, so that's some great news. That's a little bit about the basics of the change in the more important guidelines. If you want to switch the slide for me. Perfect. Now here, guys, I want to share an example of what this really looks like. Okay, now this is just one example. Okay, there's a few different examples that we could go over, but we don't want to confuse you. Just want to keep it, try to keep it basic. So here's an example of the 20% shared equity appreciation loan. Okay, so here's the scenario. You're buying a home, 500,000. Okay, that's the price. And you are getting up to 20% of that, which is 100,000. Okay. Now remember, that can be used towards down payment or closing costs, whichever mixture you want it. If it wants to be all down payment, you cover closing costs, or you get a credit, whatever the case may be, that's fine. But understand that the most that you can get with the program, folks, is 150,000. So if you want to go for a house that's a lot higher, well, that the cap is going to be 150,000 for that down payment assistance on this program. Okay, so just understand that. Now follow me here. So we're buying a home for 500,000. 20% of that is 100,000, right? Okay. Now, at the time of sale, okay, because this is what's important to understand. At the time of sale, refinance, or you want to transfer the loan or the property to somebody else, okay, the property is now worth 700,000. Okay, so your equity has increased by 200,000. Okay, what does that mean? Okay, now when you do that, you are gonna owe CalHFA, the government agency, okay, the 20% that they gave you upfront to buy the house, okay, plus a portion of the equity that grew from 500 to 700,000. Now, to me, that is amazing. Okay, why? Because typically you cannot make lemon without lemons, right? So with this, you can't buy a house without money, right? So for a lot of individuals that don't have the funds to buy the house, this is an amazing program because you're able to start building equity, a savings for you and your family, utilizing other people's money. I mean, that's huge. That's a game changer right there. And all you do is, give back the money that you borrowed plus a percentage of that shared equity. So if we scroll down, the borrower owes what? The 100,000 original shared appreciation, right? The 20% plus the 40,000 for the equity that the property grew in. So total going back to the assistance program is 140,000, folks. Okay. I mean, that's amazing because again, you still have equity in your home. And the reason why the money goes back to CalHFA is because they take that money and guess what? They give other individuals an opportunity to also become homeowners, folks. This agency has been around for a very long time. And I mean, the lives that they've changed in the decades that they've been around in Sacramento, it's incredible. I mean, the stories, I mean, they're just so touching, to be able to go from an apartment to a house, your space. You don't have to fight for parking. And the stories I've heard, you don't have to get home at a certain time because you're not going to have anywhere to park, or the kids have to walk across the street. I mean, every situation is different, but homeownership, definitely opens up a whole different, area of opportunities for many people. So that's the reason why we're so excited about this program. So we're going to go ahead and click the next slide and also share some exciting information in regards to the statistics from the last go around on the program last March, April, when the program launched. So remember I mentioned they had 300 million, set aside for this program last year. The program only lasted 10 days, folks. The program went viral. I mean, like he said, we were not I mean, $300 million, that's a lot of money, right?
Seriously.
10 days gone. I mean, I never knew that much money could be spent so quick. But again, here are the statistics. We were able to help 2,182 families, folks, purchase a home. I mean, that right there, I mean, that gives me, the goosebumps, because that is a lot of lives being changed across, the state. And to me, that's exciting. That's the reason why, we continue to do what we do, because we know that, again, it can make a huge impact in somebody's life. Now, on the right is a breakdown of the statistics of all of the communities, that were impacted in such an amazing way. So you can go ahead and just see the numbers yourself. If you know people that, have talked about wanting to buy a house, but it's only been like a thought, folks, this program can literally help make that dream come true.
Absolutely.
I mean, bring that thought into a reality, because it's amazing. It's incredible. I mean, there's so much more that I can go on with about the program, but I think that those are the most important key points, the basics. I can talk for days because, again, I'm a lender, and, we have to read things all day long because, things are constantly changing. So I will keep it short, and I'll go ahead and let Bartholomew continue, because I believe we have some questions that we may want to answer.
But before we even get to the question, what's next? So let's say somebody is wanting to explore this. What should these people be doing?
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. So here we go. There's a program. You can benefit. What's next? So what do we do? Very simple, folks. Okay. Talk to a CalHFA approved lender. By the way, we are very much. Okay. Been working with CalHFA for, a very, very long time. Love them to death. So the lender has to be on their approved list. Not just anybody can, originate these loans, folks. And the reason why is because they go through a few different sets of approvals, and you have to have training to be able to originate those loans. Okay. So one, talk to an approved lender right here, or, anyone that you may know in your circle. Now, with that being said, okay, the reason why that's so important is because you have to get pre-approved, okay, in order to be able to take advantage of this program. Why? Because the pre-approval between the lender and yourself, you are going to submit the pre-approval to CalHFA, okay, to receive a voucher to put you into the lottery to be able to take advantage and be eligible for this program, okay? So there isn't any, hey, I want to go put an offer, because guess what? First, you need to make sure you have a voucher with CalHFA to be able to even participate in the lottery, folks. That, again, it's also new. Okay, that's a new requirement, because, again, they want to even the playing field for every single person. No bias for any way across the board. That is the reason why preparation is so important. So talk to an approved lender, get your numbers, okay, get the pre-approval. Hey, the pre-approval is like a credit card, by the way, right? Just because you apply for a credit card and you don't use it, it doesn't mean you're going to have a bill, right? So the home loan pre-approval is the same thing. Get pre-approved, you go look at a few homes, you may or may not like them. And if you decide maybe right now is not the time for you, it's okay. I mean, that's not going to affect anything. But more than anything, is going to give you the opportunity to understand where you are in the market, which, again, is key. And then step number 3 is complete the required home buyer education. Notice how that comes last. because we got to get 1 and 2 out of the way first, folks. Okay. And again, these are all details that, we'll go ahead and give you as we speak with you. So go ahead and feel free to, write down our number, give us a call, shoot us a text. We're happy to help every step of the way.
Absolutely. Um, in a nutshell, those steps seem very easy, but for whatever reason, there's people that just don't like to submit their documents. And you know what? We can only follow up and wish everybody the best. But if the dream is something you wish to have come to life, this is a perfect opportunity because, example, on that 20% that you're getting from the program, what's the interest on that 20%, Juanita?
Well, that's a great question. Okay. Because the interest is going to be based on the first mortgage. But because the program is not out yet, there's no rates that are posted.
And because we don't know, being prepared essential.
Yeah.
So
But they're usually very competitive with the market. Yeah,
extremely competitive.
CalHFA is very generous when it comes to that. That's the reason why they're always my first go-to when it comes to down payment assistance. I mean, there's so many assistance programs, but they're always my go-to first, and then kind of trickle down depending on the borrowers.
Absolutely. Everybody's situation is a little bit different, and that's why it's important to do the work up front. And that's where, again, going back to preparation is very important. Gonna exit from full screen mode really quickly so we can see each other. Um, the other set of questions, can this be used as an investment?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And I want to be very clear about that because obviously people are going to do whatever they want to do, which is completely fine. But if you get audited, just understand, full disclosure, that CalHFA will call the note due in full. Basically means 30 days to give us our money or we're taking over the house. And that's a great question because again, I mean, it's important to understand the purpose of the program. Somebody also asked me, how long do I have to occupy the property? Well, I mean, for as long as you have the loan is what I heard so far. Okay. So again, things are still, being tightened up a little bit. So if somebody's trying to utilize this program to build a real estate portfolio, like an investment portfolio, um, I wouldn't encourage it only because it can backfire on you. Now, obviously, people do things all day long. I just want to be transparent and, so that exactly, what can happen. Now, does that mean that, somebody's going to get caught, somebody's not? I mean, I can't answer that, but I just want to make sure that you're aware of the consequences.
Absolutely.
Great
And
question.
the real incentive is being able to fulfill the home ownership aspect as your primary residence. And because of that, I mean, anybody that's wished and has been here for a long time, that is the dream. You touched on a point that we all Californians struggle with is the parking situation. If you're in LA County, you know parking is a struggle. There's days that I'll visit my parents. I'll go around the block for a good hour sometimes, and I get frustrated with that all the time. And it goes back to, okay, what can we do differently? Yeah, it's preparation. It's much more at ease to have a driveway of your own or just a parking establishment or somewhere that you is dedicated space for you to live in,
Right.
for you to place your head in peace. That is a world of difference.
Yep.
When it comes down to it, piece of advice for somebody that's on the fence about whether or not they should even submit documents.
I mean, I think the more important question to ask yourself is what's holding you back?
Hmm.
I mean, we all have reservations of our own, for different areas of our life. And if you have reservations, with something like this, something that's basically just kind of, being given to you, um, I would say maybe you're not ready. Maybe homeownership is not for you because if somebody's giving you money to buy a house and you have the ability to be able to, grow your savings through the equity that that you're going to grow with the property, um, maybe it's just not for you. And it's not for everybody, you know. Some people love, you know, where they're at. They're okay with renting. Everybody's got different goals. So I always say, let's just meet you where you are. You know, there's nothing wrong with that because again, success to me, it's all different. Every individual identifies success in a much, much different way. You know, for some people, it's having an X amount of money in the bank. For some people, it's having an X amount of properties. For some people, it's just having a comfort zone for their family, you know, to be able to live a good life. You know, so it's different for everybody. So yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the best advice that I can give.
On the subject of property type, can you use this towards something like a condo or townhome?
Yes, correct.
And
And even a manufactured home on a permanent foundation
okay, that's very specific on a permanent foundation. Okay.
basically means that it cannot be in a mobile home park because that's land, leased land. No, you will never own the land.
Mhm.
That's the reason.
Okay. That's that evens up that opens up even more options because of the shortage. So if the alternative is something like a condominium, townhome, mobile home on that permanent foundation, then that just makes it more of an option for others to use. You mentioned counties and counties having their own budget.
Yes.
um, do you have to? Oh, there we go.
I didn't put it up on the slide because I didn't want everybody getting distracted. But this is all California, folks. So this is why we say, you know, call us. We'll give you the details. But since we are in LA County, um, LA County's income limit is 155,000, which to me that's still very generous because either one person can go on the loan or husband and wife or, you know, fiance. Yeah, I mean, you could still buy something very nice with, you know, that type of income, considering you're putting 20% down.
Is that number gross for like two
Yes,
individuals? Okay. Okay.
total. Yep,
Total. Okay.
absolutely. San Diego is at about 185. They're a
Okay.
little more pricey. So San Diego's 185. Orange County is 202,000.
My goodness.
I know, right? But have you seen the homes in Orange County? Yeah. Riverside's right around 149, so not too far from LA County. Kern County, which is, you know, Bakersfield, California City, Tehachapi, those areas, it's a 132,000.
These
Yeah.
are very generous numbers,
Very, yeah.
extremely, and reasonable too for those that do qualify. Do you have to be a resident in these counties to use it in that respective county?
No, I mean, you have to qualify. You have to be eligible to qualify for the house, for the loan for that county. So if you are a work from home employee, you can live wherever you want in California as long as it gets verified. If you have to drive more than 100 miles, it's not going to work because it's not realistic. Um, so yeah, again, all depending on the parameters of the individual and the loan.
Absolutely. And that's why exploring each situation as its own is going to be very essential. And I think the last question that we have is going to have to be, is there is there such a thing as the perfect time to buy?
You know what? It's kind of like saying, is there is there such a thing as the perfect time to have a child? I mean, I I I I couldn't agree with that. I think the perfect time for every individual is different. I mean, all across the board, because careers, growth in family, um, closer to work. There's so many reasons that can help partake in that decision. So, I mean, yeah, no, I mean, a lot of people didn't think it was a perfect time to buy during COVID. And COVID brought people into the marketplace that would have never, ever, ever purchased a home in their entire life.
That's
that
right.
never even thought about purchasing a home, but because rates got so reduced, they like came out of nowhere. I mean, so yeah, no, I mean, I wouldn't say there is a perfect time. If the time is perfect for you, if your finances are right, if your life goals are, on track, then yeah, it's a good time.
Absolutely. I think you said it perfectly where it's going to depend on your situation, your circumstances. And after speaking with professionals like us that are in the industry, I think that's when you can make the decision that's educated to figure out, will this monthly make me house poor? Because that's the sort of thing we want to prevent. And
Mhm.
being able to leverage a program like this is essential. Um, so thank you, Juanita, for covering the program, sharing your thoughts on the market and giving us feedback on the things to consider when going to become pre-approved for a program like this one. And it doesn't have to end there, right? Because although this program is also present, there's other programs that we can also consider. Today we're speaking specifically on this, but there's other programs that you can also take it as a leverage to help you towards that goal. We speak Spanish, so se habla español. Cualquier, no tenga pena. Cualquier pregunta, we're here to serve. Any last remarks on your part, Juanita?
Um, no, I mean, just, if you've been thinking about it, just do it, kind of like Nike says, don't think, just do. I mean, like I said, what's the worst that can happen? Nothing changes in your life. That's the worst that can happen, that you will stay exactly where you are right now.
That is
Um,
true.
so I mean, that's what I can leave you with. We're happy to help every step of the way. So call us, contact us, we're here. And like Bartholomew said, hablamos español, así que si tienen una familia que han querido comprar casa, que también está interesada, aquí estamos para poder ayudarles a ellos también.
That's right. That's right.
Gracias por su tiempo.
To be continued.